All right, we're definitely excited to have you back. We sincerely apologize. Last Saturday we couldn't have the program due to the day of prayer, but we're back. And we're discussing the very latest. And we encourage you to participate. The best way you can do that is by calling on 0960 200 490. That is 0960 200 490. For those of you that would catch us on the Facebook live stream, we've actually decided to change a little bit in responding to some of the concerns you've had. There were some of you that have been expressing concern on the sound that we've been getting, all right, off the Facebook live feed. So to that effect, today we're trying the YouTube live feed. All right. So what I encourage you is that you can catch us live on YouTube as well. Simply log on to YouTube, look for Lorenzo Entertainment TV, subscribe to the channel, and please connect with us. Post your comments on the comment section, and then we'll be able to get interactive with you right on the program. All right, so look for Lorenzo Entertainment TV on YouTube, and then hit the subscribe button, and let's get interactive on the program. All right, so that you can put voice to face or face to voice. All right, on the people that we do have on the program today. And we've been joined by Jerry right at the nick of time.
You okay?
Yes, I am well. It's good to be back here.
He looks good, huh?
Yeah, he does.
Sounds very energetic.
Sounds very good. Well, we're doing another marathon.
Yeah, there's a story behind that, actually.
There's a story behind that.
Share that.
There's a story behind that. But we welcome you on the program, Jerry.
Good to see you, Jerry.
Thanks. Can't wait to get started.
Awesome.
Same here.
Awesome. All right, now let's get down to business. Jerry, we have a special guest in Sydney on the program.
My good friend Sydney.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's start with the motivation before we actually get down to business. Now, everything that Jerry, Lucy, Andrew might have had to do with Football House, let it be put on the table. Sydney's here to answer and clarify a few issues here. All right. Today's motivation. So, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Lorenzo, and good morning once again, dear listeners. The Word of God says in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life.
Eternal life.
Now, let's focus on the word love, and let's focus on another word, give, or give. So, because of the expression of love, God gave. So, the expression of love is always, characterized with an act of giving. So, love and giving will always go together. And so I encourage each and every one of you out there to love and give. Thank you very much, and good morning.
Wow. Concise, candid, and up to the point. We truly appreciate Andrew for that up to the point motivation for today. Now we have a lot to look at insofar as football is concerned. Now, picking it up from Football House like we promised, Lucy, it's definitely common knowledge now that the final list of candidates to run for office is out. Okay, but before we get to look at those candidates, now there were allegations that were leveled against Football House that Football House deliberately did not want Kalusha Bwalia to run or to be on the ballot paper. There were accusations that there were machinations to prevent Kalusha Bwalia from running for first president. Now we have Sydney in the studio, and we want you to respond from a Football House's perspective on whether those assertions and accusations are true or not. So let's pick it up from there. Is there any water in those accusations? And my colleagues will pick it up from there.
Well, thank you very much. And I think it's always important to start from where this all began before we really start focusing on what is really getting the hit out there. The background to what is going on right now is that there was a directive from FIFA as far back as 2010. So FIFA directed its members to align their constitutions to the FIFA statutes, and this directive was not exclusive to Zambia. It was for the all the members, and that process started in 2011. And we had the meeting, I think in Chisamba, where all the clubs in Zambia met to put up a mock document which they were supposed to weigh against the FIFA constitution. So I think from 2010, that document was put aside. It had been gathering dust, and several reminders from FIFA for Zambia to align its constitution to the FIFA statutes went unheeded. And from 2010 until up to 2016, when Mr. Andrew Kamanga won election, I think within 1 week of coming to office, they found a letter that was coming from FIFA directing Zambia to actually align their constitution to the FIFA statutes, and the deadline was within that 1 week. So that's how they wrote back to FIFA asking for more time. They said it was not possible. They were just coming into office and they needed to understand what was going on. So that window was granted up to August. And in August, the members were notified and reconvened for an emergency meeting where a FIFA representative came to run them through what was expected. And it should also be noted that between March and August, members were given the document from FIFA to weigh against what they were supposed to come up with. So when the FIFA member came in August, the members sat through and they had that document. And then it needed to be adopted by the annual general meeting. So the process was referred to the AGM, where that constitution in 2017 was adopted. So that's where all this was coming. So whatever you see in the constitution right now was a process that started a long time ago. So while certain things have taken center stage now, I think it's important to just know where we're coming from. So following through this process, in November, FAS wrote to FIFA notifying them that we were having elections this year, 2020. So they asked for guidance from FIFA, and they did provide a roadmap on how these elections were going to be conducted. And FIFA did write back to FAS, and they were very clear that under the current circumstances, FAS was not going to conduct a credible election because they didn't have an electoral code approved by the members, and then they also didn't have an electoral committee and the appeals committee. So that was a directive, and the only way that was going to happen before elections was to hold an extraordinary general meeting, which was called for February 1, and with specific objectives. One was to ratify the electoral code, ratify the members of the electoral committee and members of the appeals committee. One of the things that the FAS executive does in this process is to nominate the chairperson of the electoral committee and appeals committee. Then members of the electoral committee are seconded from the Electoral Commission of Zambia. So that's the body that comprises the electoral committee. And then the appeals committee, you have a member seconded from LAS, then the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, and the third person. So the EGM, which is the extraordinary general meeting, was called on February 1, and that electoral code was presented to the members. But prior to that meeting, that document was also circulated to the members so that as they were coming to the meeting, if they had any contributions to make, they were advised to have gone through and make those suggestions at that meeting. So once the meeting started, the electoral code was presented to the members. Point by point, there was a PowerPoint presentation, and all the members that were there can speak for themselves. And then the members of the electoral committee were presented to the members for ratification, and also the appeals committee. So after that meeting was concluded with the electoral code approved, electoral committee approved, and the appeals committee approved, it meant that FAS was now in a position to hold elections. And at that point, nominations were opened for whoever wanted to contest for elections, and that's where we were. And I think we had a lot of people expressing interest, and they were given a window to apply if they wanted. There was a 7-day period, and various people expressed interest, and after 7 days the process was closed, and then it was passed on to the electoral committee and ethics committee. The ethics committee only does one part of the vetting process, which is the integrity check. And then the rest of the things, like the number of years for various positions, if you're required, and then maybe you need to reside in a certain place. If you are standing for provincial elections, you can't be in Lusaka and then go and contest for elections in Luapula. So some of those things were weighed as they were trying to sift through. And then after that process, I think we had names that were released of candidates that had passed those tests, and we did announce publicly. And those that were not successful were given a window to appeal with. That's why we had the appeals committee. So after those appeals process, yesterday we had the appeals committee releasing a total of 127 names of candidates that were deemed to have passed all the processes for elections. So in a nutshell, that's where we are coming from, and whatever grievances people have, they have to weigh against what is on paper. So I think basically that's where we are. So,
I see. All right, Lucy.
So, Sydney, what are the qualifications for someone to stand for a position as vice president, particularly? So, for example, myself, what do I need to qualify to contest for that place?
I think one of the qualifications is you must have at least 5 years of experience in football, and then you must be have a resident of you must reside in Zambia.
A resident, a Zambian,
Zambian,
or someone, a Zambian resident in the country.
And you must provide proof of that.
So that's a new one because previously it wasn't there.
Getting to residency, that's quite very interesting. Supposedly, being kept by my relatives, say my brother or my father, don't I qualify to still contest for the position? Do I have to own the house, or probably I'm renting the house?
You just have to prove that you live in Zambia.
You don't necessarily have to. I don't need to be a landlord to qualify for vice presidency, right?
No, then again, because you'll be disadvantaging.
No, then that's good. That has been cleared.
Can I
Pretty clear. All right. Yes, Andrew and Jerry.
Resident here, so it doesn't matter whether you are Zambian or you are not, but resident here. Is that what you're saying, Sydney?
No, but
can I still stay in South Africa and be back in Zambia and still contest? I'm Zambian.
Well, no, that's not the qualification.
If my business is in South Africa, I'm here.
Well, I think
and she has a house here, but she travels to South Africa and comes every few days, comes back here.
No, but there it means she lives here, isn't it? You have to live.
So I qualify.
You have to live.
Yes or no, Sydney?
At the end of the day,
Sydney, do I qualify? Yes or no?
You have. Yeah, if you live here, you do qualify.
You see? Thank you.
Okay, Jerry wanted to say something in line with what Lucy was trying to find out. You say it's something that is new and it's not been there. We want you to pick it up from there.
Yeah, so it wasn't there previously. It's just been brought in because in the past they were not asking if someone is a resident, and Carlo even served as a president when he was domiciled in South Africa. So was it just brought up now?
No,
for this particular
election? No. You have to understand that the whole document was they had to decide what needed to. The 2016 election was held under the constitution that didn't have some of the things. So clearly, it wasn't there in 2016, but it's there in the 2017 constitution.
And from what I've read, it's like CAF doesn't have an ethics committee.
No, they've actually put it now. I think in August.
When did we put ours?
So do they have integrity tests as well?
Yes, they have now for the next election. They have, because when they went for the last Congress, the previous elections where they didn't have an integrity check in the CAF constitution. But now it's remember there has been a FIFA general secretary who has been operating from until recent.
Overseeing the affairs of CAF. Yeah.
Those are some of the things that have come through after that shake-up. So it has been embedded in the CAF constitution now. But the elections that the CAF had, that provision was not there.
And one more question. If I do something wrong and it works against me when I'm doing the integrity testing, is it for life, or is there a period to say, okay, yes, you did something, but then okay, you've served your sentence or whatever, now you can contest elections, or are you always going to hold someone against what they did in the past?
A cap, I think it's 5 years. There's a cap.
So Kalusha still under 5 years.
5 years.
There's no need for us to beat by the bush. We just need to hit the nail on the head. And what we are talking about here is Kalusha Wala. So is Kalusha Wala still under 5 years, or he bypassed that 5 years for FAS to?
Isn't he eligible having served his sentence?
No, I think you have to go back to the verdict that was passed by when they lifted his when they reduced his sentence. They said that the ban has been reduced to the period served, and the fine was reduced from 100,000 to 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah. So I think there's no debate there in terms of what happened.
So he's the new creation.
Well, I think if I go to, can I contest for presidents?
Can he? That's the
I'm
question.
just giving, like, even under state elections, something where they say you should not have been convicted. So Isn't it the same thing?
Yeah,
there's a difference between an acquittal and
serving
the reduced sentence.
Yeah. So there's a difference clear.
So he wasn't acquitted, but his sentence was just reduced
to the period served. I think
I
the
see.
wording was very clear.
I see. All right.
So according to what you've said, he can't run even in the future because of the conviction. Because you were saying if I want to stand as president and if I had been convicted, then it was against me.
No, there's a five year
Has
window.
he served the 5 years? That's what we want to know. Or is he still serving?
He doesn't meet the 5 year. From the period the ban was lifted, it's not 5 years yet.
Okay, so he is still serving.
Well, no, you're asking two things there. You're asking two things.
Yes, I need you to answer two questions.
It was not an acquittal. Let's get that straight.
They reduced?
It was a reduced sentence.
Yeah. So now this reduced sentence is within the period of the 5 year window. He hasn't yet come out of the 5 year window. Yeah, but also to add, while everyone is focusing on the integrity check, it's not the only benchmark. Yes, it's not the only benchmark that is used to disqualify candidates. I'll give this maybe as an example. If whenever you are filling forms, for example, say proof of residence, we take it casually that if I just say 322 Kasama Road, no one will cross-check.
But why would I lie where I don't stay?
I'm not here to answer that question, but some of these are some of the things that people who were cross-checking came across.
Is it possible candidates can do that?
Well, I think
and this cross-checking was for each and every candidate.
I believe that. No, I stand
that's
to be
what
corrected. Andrew, would you do that? Would you give us a wrong house number if we asked you where you stay?
I've never done that before in my life.
Why would I do that?
And this cross-checking, Sydney, was for each and every candidate.
That's why the committee is there. They have to work. They don't work for one day. They work
So they go door to door asking, Lucy stays here, you mark where his clothes, and you move to the next. No, it's a discussion. And people want us to give them facts, and let's be factual. We drop the truth here in the studio. I would like to know, because who knows, I want to stand in the future.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next point. Of course, we do have the chant preps. Now, there was also information that was making rounds, Sydney, the last few days that let's talk about Mitchell, because after Mitchell, we'll talk about the chant preparations. Now, Mitchell's salary is broken down as follows. FAS is supposed to foot the $15,000 US, and then government is supposed to foot the $10,000 US. Now, according to what is on the rumor mill the last few days is nothing has been signed yet from government's perspective in them finalizing the paying of their lot of $10,000 US to his contract. In as much as he was unfair to the public, in as much as he was given his official duties to take charge, government hasn't signed documents yet that would authorize them now to be paying the 10,000 on top of the 15,000 that the Football Association of Zambia is actually going to give him. Now the question here is it true that those documents that should effect payment of 10,000 haven't reached the minister's office? Is it true that come end of March, we may have Mitchell not having been paid a dime, considering of this hiccup in his contract to do with the 10,000 government is supposed to top up on the 15,000 that the Football Association of Zambia is paying?
So that's a very difficult one for me to answer on the part that I think the government side would speak for itself. But what I can only confirm is that the contract has yet to be signed. But you also have to understand that if you follow through the recruitment process, you may have to appreciate certain things. I think Mitchell was unveiled on February 3, and we had the ceremony at Basa Academy. And then he got down to work immediately, and he was presented to the permanent secretary. I think at that time the minister was not available. And whatever documentation relating his contract, I think the Attorney General has to consent to the part. I think he needs the work permit, and So all those things are sitting with the government. So, but we can't say that they are not doing anything about it. But right now, what I can just confirm is that the contract has not yet been signed.
Is there any contingency on the part of Football House in the event that the 10,000 doesn't come through? Considering that there were also rumors that government's preferred candidate to run was Kalu Shabwadi. Well, it's pretty obvious considering the number of people that have been giving an opinion on him running for office. Bowman Lusambo, Lusaka Province Minister, issued a statement. His worship, the mayor, issued a statement. It's almost common knowledge that government's position is that Carlo should be allowed to stand, and they're the people that are supposed to release the 10,000 US dollars. Now, is there a contingency plan that FAS has put in place in the event that the 10,000 US dollars does not come through come month end of March, when maybe probably even today, because he's already started working?
I think that's we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But you must also understand that FAS has already gone out of its way to provide 15,000 US dollars from scratch. And I think it would be asking too much to ask them to further sacrifice for another 10,000. I think everyone has to play their part. This is a national team we're talking about, and this is a national coach. So as much as there are issues of preferences, we have to accept that a coach was selected who I think is quite acceptable to the public. The process of selection was followed as guided by the minister. I think that background is very well in public domain. So I think in trying to put this issue in perspective, we have to just expect that people should not go beyond the normal way of operation. I think everyone should do their part. They cannot be compelled to, obviously from where we stand, we can't compel certain officers to play their part. But I think if you follow these things, this is a national team we're talking about, this is a national coach we're talking about, this is a national program. So it doesn't matter who is running football. I think tomorrow it will be other people who will be running football. So if we do these things, we are setting a very bad precedence. It may not hurt the people now, maybe to hurt football in future. So that's all I can say for now.
Okay, all right, Lucy, Andrew, and Jerry. Before we move on to the chant preparations, because we only have about 30 minutes with Sydney. I know you guys probably have a lot.
We need to get the best out of him.
We need the whole afternoon with him, actually. We haven't had the first communications officer.
You know what?
Time,
yeah. You know what?
To have you on the studio. I mean,
very true. I think the last one was Eric Mwanza.
But also passed through a few times, but
oh yeah, he did.
Eric did. Was more regular.
Andrew has actually put it more accurately. Eric was more regular. I think Bankweto has been here before. All right, chant preparations, 42-man provisional squad. What strategy is Micho using? To how many is he going to cut down? Because he needs about 23. That is what you wanted to bring up. Please, Mari, what I'm asking with what you have.
Yes. No. Please go ahead, Sydney, with your answer.
I think he was very clear when he started that he was going to try and do things his way. He put through what he called the master plan, which had different, I think, points. One of them was the CHAN, COSAFA, then AFCON, and eventually World Cup. So when he came through the first week, I think he selected 131 players, broken into half. The other half met on the Copper Belt, and the other group met in Osaka. And then after the first week of selection, it was down to 72. The 72 broken down into, I think, 37 and sorry, I won't get my maths right now. And then now we have 42, which essentially now this is the first time that these are going to train in one place. It was Copper Belt and Osaka. So after this week, we are going to be down to 30. 30. Then those 30, he's looking at a possible team for the CHAN, which starts on April 4. But he also has one eye for the local players that he's going to use in the AFCON qualifier. The first one is on March 26th, and then the second one is on March 31st. So these same local players that he has to think of using some of them in the men's polo and the others into into the CHAN. So I think he has a window of trimming down the numbers on is it March 17 to 21. They will be participating in a 4 Nations tournament in Uganda. I think there will be Mali, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. So I think the best of the local players should be able to go through that process. And when it comes down to the final 23 for the tournament, I think we should be good to go.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, and we just hope that there'll be faces that will really represent us and bring the results, because we've heard stories where people are picked not because they'll be able to play, but because somebody recommended. We don't want to see that. And coming to players, I wanted to find out, how is the relationship? Are they settling well with the new coach, or is he getting along? Because, you know, this is very important. They need to have that relationship, the coach and the player relationship. It's very important to achieve an objective at the end of the day. How is it so far so good? Are you getting any feedback from the players, or do you have any strategy that FAS ensures that they get communication to say, okay, now the coach is really settling down with the players?
Well, I think Mitchell was one of his strong points is that I think even the people that were selecting the panel that was selecting, I think one of the things that came out strongly was that even as he was applying for the Chipolopolo job, he already knew enough about the Zambian game, and this is not just restricted to foreign-based players. He did cite some impressive examples on the local. He did follow the Zambian league even when he was in Uganda. So some of the players that he had seen from a distance, I think he has had an opportunity to look at them closely. And if you check the selection, you will notice that there are players that have come out of nowhere. So, which is a good sign. We had the boy in the first set from Chongwe High School, I think Moses Mulenga, and then we also had Rickson Ngambi, I think straight from Choma, but I think he has been signed up by, I don't know, that's Indeni. Jonathan Munarura is an under-17 player who is at Ron United. So those are some. I think some of these are still in the final 42. So these are for their regular faces, maybe Kelvin Kampamba, Alan Chibwe. So this is a mix. So we are hopeful that with what he's doing, I think he's not looking at faces. He's trying to just give everyone a chance to compete for places in the national team. And I think the signs are very good so far.
Okay.
Lorenzo, I have seen that, I know you're not Mitchell and he's not here, but I hope I'll get somewhere with my thought. I have seen that he has brought in, I may put it as a completely new set of goalkeepers. I don't know what he's trying to assess there, because, I mean, a number of us were quite impressed with how Mwange came out. But Mwange is nowhere near the national team, is nowhere near Mitchell's team. I'm wondering what that could be, you know.
Well, I think you must also understand that Mwange has not been in the picture a bit longer before Mitchell, when we played that President's.
Can you move closer to the mic?
When we played the President's Cup in Namibia, I think that was November. Yeah, we also played the World Cup qualifier, the back-to-back AFCON qualifiers without Mwange in the picture. That was long before Mitchell came. So clearly, it must speak to what form Mwange is in, or what the selectors think about his suitability to be in the team right now. He may probably be in the team at some point, but I think if you follow the pattern, probably the coaches have seen something. But in terms of the goalkeepers in camp, I think there's a lot of consistency. We still have Jackson Kakunta, I've seen Charles Muntanga, I've seen Lamexia. So these are goalkeepers that have been part of the national team setup in the last few months. So there's a bit of continuity, and we're hoping that they will refine these goalkeepers as we search for Kenneth Mwene's successor.
Okay.
Sydney, according to what we've read in the media, the new coach, Mitchell, may be facing some court action, some sort in South Africa. Wouldn't that jeopardize preparations? For instance, you've got a crucial World Cup qualifier, and then maybe the court summons him to South Africa to answer those charges and so on. Was that taken into consideration?
I think some of these things you really have to deal with them as and when it is something that was not on the cards, obviously, when this process started, and we just have to live with what is currently happening. I cannot predict what's going to happen, but obviously he's already here and working, and we are counting that we'll keep on that path regardless of whatever challenges come our way.
Okay. All right. Let me get to read some of the comments and accept calls from our listeners. This one says, "Morning, Lorenzo. Greetings to the BACKPAGE family. And not forgetting Babaloi Mukeba, the former Kambuku Warriors goalkeeper from Matero. He loves the show." Lobe from Chaisa. Thank you very much, Lobe. I hope I got your name correct. And Babaloi Mukeba, we're truly grateful that you're so much in love with this particular program. And then he adds, all the best to Aba Yellow Power Dynamos in tomorrow's electricity derby, where Perry Bebeto, the principal of Mutapa, will be teaching Joe Chicken Lwandamina a lesson at Estadio de la Levy. From days to hours now, before the kickoff of the Soweto derby, my skin is black, my bones are white, my blood is red. I am Orlando Pirates, and I'll always be a pirate, Buccaneer for life. That's Lobe there. Thank you very much for those 3 text messages. If you want to call, the number is 0960-200-490. Morgan says, "I hope the new players Micho is coming up with will not one day be accused of politics." All right. You will take note of that as well, Sydney. You're through to BACKPAGE. Wazesko. Okay, Wazesko, please go ahead with your contribution. Please, mubwelele kamsanga, we. League ni yanu. Okay, chawama hicho mubwele.
My contribution this morning.
Yes.
Our league. I think after these elections pass, I think like Konzel in terms of dreaming. If for example, my foreigners wanna play them. I think they don't deserve to be in our league. And 2, where you put 11 or 10 foreigners in a match. Where do you expect our own Zambians? Where do you expect Zambians? Because the coach has to be monitoring in our league. Then other players were Congo, Burundi, Rwanda. Other things that would go keep for So I think after the elections, they should look into this. At least the game because we have 4 foreigners than 11.
Nice.
Yeah, then, the Czech squad, surprise, no sense of player.
They're not performing well, eh?
They're not performing, Kaidi. Clement Mwench here. Okay, so it's anyway, Chaipa could be this player, chance squad. Hey, as a draft to a video over that. Pyramids FC.
Then I hear the free drop that please, Badusaka, please.
Yeah, let's fill up the stadium.
No pressure. Zakumana. No spokesperson mafaz.
Local league. Begins at home. For example, ngatenga tinkana zana kwacha midweek mo stadium imazula ka
Eh,
wasi mapeleka magame 18 hours
18 hours, aye.
takomba kuchita hapo kwa sawa muda wanzati pese
Zona che.
That's a fair point, actually.
kuna game 18 hours hata ndamba kubola ndio pese sana si mathematics
Aye. Lazima sumadia ka.
But you're still alive.
Inafika mama make. Ah, pa TV, aye. Aha.
TV mapeleke 18 hours zona stadium pesa ndrama zinatilipira abra players 1-0
Zona che. Vazesko chaiwa.
Thank you.
Timu ya ziko chaiwa. Zega. All right. He raised quite a number of pertinent issues. Before I get the second one, we need to have him respond, right, to some of the points
and one of the most very important, which I liked, was asking a question: why can't we have games after 18 hours?
Yes.
To give
so that Lucy, when she knocks off,
yes, including myself.
yeah,
So she can go and watch.
she can go and watch. Yeah, yeah.
Sydney.
Some of us we can sneak time at 15, you know. Jerry can as well, even Anne.
Yes.
But Lucy,
for myself, I have to wait until after 5.
After 5, yeah.
I think that's a very valid observation. But, we also have limitations in terms of the infrastructure that can.
Floodlights.
It's not all the stadia that we have that can host those kinds of games. I think Zesco has tried that route and it has worked very well. I don't know whether it's a FAS issue or it's a club issue. Yeah, so we need to clarify that. Then on foreign players, I think these are some of the things that you can throw back to FAS members. We have an AGM coming. Everyone is focused on elections and particularly just one section of elections. I think there is a window for members to write to the General Secretary. These things can be included on the agenda, and then the members can decide whether we need to have this number of foreign players in our team. So if we are thinking football development, I think these are the things that we should be talking about as we look forward to the annual general meeting. Because if it doesn't go to the AGM, it means that we have to wait for another window. So I think the onus is on the members. It's not really on FAS. I think we depend on what our membership want, and then our duty is just to implement.
Okay, all right. And then let me get one more call, but there's still a few other questions you need to clarify. Yeah. All right, you're through to BACKPAGE. Tilibuino, ba agahoa. Ikaribu kuwa na second hour ba agahoa. Niokosa ligi ya Mzambi. Okay. So bakaleke matrials. Bakaleke kutupasa matrials maplayer watu. Okay, I know what you mean. All right. Another point that the previous caller asked was the capping, where you have 11 foreign-based players
in a team.
That's a lot. Not so, Jerry. Yeah, where you have all the.
And even on the bench, they're foreigners.
So, are we going to have a cap? Say each club can sign a minimum of 5 foreign-based players, and in a starting lineup, just 3.
You mean a maximum?
Maximum, yes.
Of 5 players.
Yes, maximum of 5. Thank you very much for the correction. Maximum of 5, starting lineup, maximum of 3. All right, so that we give chance to our players to showcase
Yes,
their
Lorenzo.
talent.
And you know, let's not even beat by the bush. Let's just be open.
Mhm.
I want to believe even in South Africa or where these players are coming from,
Mhm.
they look at them first before
Mhm.
they can look for any foreigner. For me, we are not saying they should drive away. We don't know their objectives at the end of the day to field in the foreigners, but it's
Mhm.
very important to tap our own talents
Mhm.
because then we are also building our national team and so on and so forth, and also creating jobs. We do have talent. I don't want to believe that now we because things are not going well at the upper level, then it means that we are so disorganized that we can't even manage our local players or to tap into talents to bring up to speed. It's very sad. I never knew. By the way, I'm hearing that for the first time, and I'm quite disappointed. Sydney, what do you have to say?
No, I think, like I've said,
Maybe to just clarify the reasons why clubs have now taken it for granted, like 11 players, foreigners, as mentioned by one of our callers.
there's no limitation. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you want it to be enshrined in the constitution, you have to push it to the membership.
Okay.
So otherwise, by just talking about it, it doesn't really help a lot. So we just challenge the members who are concerned because it has an effect on our national team, like you said. So if we want to have a strong national team, we should also have a strong league dominated by Zambian players, so that it works both ways. But obviously, there's another school of thought that the traffic of foreign players has also helped strengthen the quality of our league. I think some teams have one of the strongest players from some national teams. I think we have national team players from Kenya, for example, playing here. We have Uganda. So
Uganda, Namibia.
Yes. So
Zimbabwe.
I think we should also think there's something we are doing right in our league to attract this, but it should not be open-ended as the panel has noted.
Okay. All right, let's get another call on 0960-200-490. That is 0960-200-490. And then we'll be able to get a few more interactions with Sydney. You're through to chat back page. Morgan, how are you? Very well, thanks. No, we're on back page.
We're on back page.
I've not been so much into the current affairs. Yes, I want to just to this week I've been running up and down from UTH and the home. So I've not been so much into the news. I just wanted to, is it official that the contract from which hasn't been signed?
Yes, it is.
It is, yes.
It's official.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I think let me not comment for now.
Okay, all right.
I think on the other hand, on the issue of foreign players, I think sometimes as much as we like, I like the other guy, the way he answered it. It has also helped to improve the league. When you look at the time kind of mostly stabilized, there are about 3-4 of the little clan. There are the 2 defenders, that one from Goma here, and they kind of stabilized the time when the backrest up. There are about 4-5 of the foreigners. So what we are saying is, it's not bad for competition in respect. Sometimes these foreigners bring in quality, bring in competition. Then you cannot just want to be Lorenzo. It's more like the rest used to be with that. Now I used to have like in class, you have the so-called repeaters. So the lecturers cannot keep on crying, oh, but the teachers don't put a lot of cheer on, I'm defending better. No. You put pressure to your base so that you compete with those repeaters. You get the point? So our Zambian prayers should be central also The foreigners. I don't really see anything wrong with this issue. So, from certain businesses, if you are the best, you are the best. Be the best no matter who comes. You say, even if you don't have the kind another class of a striker, you're not will not be intimidated. Even if Barcelona goes and splash $500 million for a player, Messi not be intimidated. Messi is the best. So when our London players are proceeding their best, and they do their best, this issue is the climb. That's the thing that we want to be climb. Let competition be there. Let the foreigners be free to come and compete with our Zambians, because we cannot have people that when I talk in the name of we are protected, we have a growth that is limits the foreigners. Of course, I'm not saying amen. Foreigners that should come also.
Okay.
Class.
All right. Okay, Morgan. Okay, in less than a minute.
It's not easy to sponsor class. We didn't get to raise issues of no, my foreigners were money is the club. It's not easy to sponsor class because you don't understand it.
Okay.
People are in business, they have to recruit their
all right.
So they look for where they can do
okay.
their business, so and where they can do business. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. All right. Well, that is all time we have for the first hour. We would definitely have to reconnect in the second hour. And Sydney, we appreciate you taking
Very
time
much, Sydney.
to answer some of the questions. Of course, when something else arises after today, we'll definitely have to call on him again.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and I think I've enjoyed my experience here on my first appearance.
We want to be seeing you more often.
Yeah, I would like to see you more.
To answer questions, yes.
Definitely see me more.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Much.
So join us on the other side. Those of you that are catching us via YouTube, please reconnect with us for the second installment. All right. Just click on the link, and then you'll be able to interact with us, or log on directly to YouTube, and then look for Lorenzo Entertainment, and then subscribe on the channel and watch us from there. We'll definitely appreciate you connecting with us. All right. And hopefully you're getting a better quality of picture and sound.
Give us feedback.
Yeah, definitely. You need to give us a little bit of feedback from the end point.
Right?
Absolutely. All right, so join us on the other side for more as we have Solomon Plate take us to the top of the hour. All right, so join us for more interactions right on Backpage. All right, so coming up, we definitely have a little bit of a track, and then we'll be reconnected for the second installment. Okay.
Some of us, you haven't let us talk much because